Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Joe Theodore and thank you so much for joining me today. So this will be video 1 of 2 in regards to the full moon in Sagittarius. This will be a quick, well, you know me, semi-quick talk on the full moon, just some initial intuitive insights and downloads I've been getting. And then the next video I will do, not the exact next video I'll put out, but within the next couple of days, I will do an all signs kind of overview for you guys, because I feel like the last video I did with the all signs, which is a really popular YouTube thing, I feel like a lot of you guys appreciated that, and I'm going to do my best to maybe do more of those, just depending on how, what the topic is or what the transit is, whatever you get what I mean. But this is just going to be me doing what I do best, and that is just sort of talking to you as casual as I can and doing my best to bring forth to you my insights, and that's just the way we roll here, right? So let's talk about this, right? So this is the first major lunation cycle since the new moon, of course, the new moon in Taurus, which was a very, very, very powerful anchoring moment after the eclipse season, after all of the turbulence and wildness that we all went through. And that new moon in Taurus was an extremely potent activation point for seeding something to grow, whether that's an idea, whether that was taking your first steps in a direction, or whatever's going on in your birth chart is actually really where that's supposed to be shining for you. Because I think a lot of astrologers on YouTube kind of get all caught up in just spouting out, kind of just general things on what Taurus will bring you. But in reality, all of this stuff that I talk about and we talk about on YouTube involving current planetary stuff, it's all really determined on where Taurus is in your birth chart, or where Aries is your birth chart, for all the eclipse stuff. So the new moon in Taurus was a major activation point. Let's get back to what I was saying. New moon in Taurus was a major activation point. Of course, Jupiter, Uranus, the conjunction, and Venus getting into the mix, and really like bringing that Venusian centeredness and that, kind of just like the optimism and the joy in certain things. I feel when Venus got into Taurus with the new moon and Jupiter and Uranus, their conjunction was just about ending. That was a major moment for, I believe, us to kind of, again, I kept using an analogy of, piercing through the clouds after the turbulence and just seeing the blue sky, right? So that's what Venus was doing with the new moon and the separation of Jupiter and Uranus. And I kept saying to all of you guys, it's a great moment to plant seeds and think about that part of your life and, what do you want to initiate or grow or change or work towards, so you can, maybe be more prosperous in that area of your life. And again, Taurus is known for money and hard work and stubbornness and just being really narrowly focused and being grounded, of course, which is really important. But this is not all about physical stuff. When I say plant seeds to grow, I'm not talking about literal physical things, which it could be, but it's just this, it could be mental, it could be emotional. Like, how do you want to ground something new in the world that's maybe non-physical? And non-physical is thought and emotion, really, even though we express them through the physical. So the Taurus new moon was a very big activation point, and new moons are usually trigger points to allow us to get, the work done. We can figure out, more of that new moon story. And by the time we get back to a full moon, it's like, okay, things are illumined now. And like, what do you got? Like, where are you at? And usually where that full moon lands in a perfect cyclical fashion, as all new moons and full moons continue to cycle throughout the year, there's always a symbolic meaning for when it gets back to the full moon. So the symbolic meaning now is Sagittarius. So the archetype of Sagittarius is being illuminated for you, for all of us. This greatly has to do with obviously the Sagittarius aspect of your birth chart, so something will be illuminated there, but also something that was tied into the Taurus new moon. So we need to figure out, you need to figure out what is going on in the Sagittarius area of your life. I mean, there's no planets there, except for the moon will be there, of course, during this day. So the moon will be shining itself, revealing itself in that part of your life. Now, I always tell clients and I always tell people, okay, but the new moon happened in Taurus. What was your intentions? What was going on there? What was being birthed? Because that was a birthing moment. Now, how is that story potentially playing into this full moon? Because Sagittarius is a truth seeker. It is an active fire sign. It is ruled by Jupiter, which is a planet of abundance, of expansion. That new moon occurred with Jupiter, right? So Jupiter is going to have a play, is still in motion here. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of your Gemini needs to be activated in order to fulfill some of this new full moon destiny, because Jupiter will be going into Gemini within a week, right? With very, 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 very soon. So Sagittarius, Jupiter's the ruler there. So we're talking about whatever area of your life this is playing in. How are you willing to move forward and to expand yourself and to learn? Sagittarius is a very learning type of sign. It loves to learn. It loves to play. It loves to be active. It loves to expand oneself. Truly. So this full moon, as we head into Gemini season, as we head into a massive shift of Gemini getting packed to the gills, from literally having no planets in it to having literally almost, you have Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter with the sun, and that will be a massive party within literally a couple of weeks. This Sagittarius full moon is an activation point that's tying into that as well, because again, Jupiter rules Sagittarius, so we must consider all of these house themes, whatever's going on in your life. We need to figure out what's activating and when. And if you book a reading with me, I can guide you through some of this stuff, of course. Now, before I go on, I just want to say this video is sponsored by the like button, the comment section, and the subscribe button. If you are new and watching this, please smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. That's what the kids say these days, right? So yeah, just help the channel out by engaging with the channel, and it's as simple as that, guys. So I love Sagittarius energy. I think Sagittarius full moons are some of the best full moons, to be honest, of the year, because it really, I feel like we all get into these elevated states of consciousness, and I feel like we all do get bursts of energy when Gemini season happens and starts, and then when we always have the Sagittarius full moon, right? So the new moon in Taurus and the Sagittarius full moon are always such beautiful points of the year where it kind of hits right in the middle of spring. This starts activating like right as we're about to enter summer in about a month from now, I guess. So these are major points to, merge both fire and air together. It really is. I mean, the sun is in Gemini and the moon is in Sagittarius, creating this beautifully powerful air fire scenario. And we couldn't ask for a better activation point and we couldn't ask for a better point for whatever we were planting in the ground from Taurus to begin to come to life in a way, when the full moon activates in Sagittarius like it will on Thursday. So Sagittarius is an energy of expansion because of Jupiter. It's an energy of, again, really getting spiritual, getting in tune with your innermost desire and passion. This is about trying new things. This could be about, taking what you were trying to anchor in energetically or physically with the Taurus new moon, and how can we now, make fire? How can we make this come alive? you know? So I think that's where most of us possibly can be, is where can we ignite a fire and make something come alive in that area of our life? And how can that also tie into what you were planting into the ground in Taurus? And how can this also set up some energetic flow for Gemini, your Gemini story? Because Jupiter will be in there before we know it, and Sagittarius will be greatly influenced by Gemini, you know, because of Jupiter's ingress. You know, so Gemini is going to play, Jupiter and Gemini is going to play a massive role actually in your Sagittarius story. And it will be going opposed it as well, obviously. So if you have any native planets in Sagittarius, Jupiter is going to be directly opposite of that. And, you know, I won't say oppositions with Jupiter are challenging, because honestly, I don't think they are. I think they push us a little bit, but only because the things that it's pushing us in are usually ultimately for our highest good, or it's something very spiritual or something very intellectual, something that we're jacked up and fired up about. So I feel that dynamic, this Jupiter Sagittarius story that will be playing out for all of us for a year, is very important. And that's also very important to mention with this full moon. This is a major activation point for Jupiter's year-long story in Gemini. So these house topics, wherever the Gemini Sagittarius axis is in your birth chart, this has to be taken into consideration, you know, in what can be evolved in your life from this point on. And this full moon is going to reveal some things to you, because full moons, just like in the tarot, the moon card, the full moon illumines some things that are hidden. The full moon shines light on things that need to be shined upon. And you know, I'm not saying that there's things that are hidden in your life that are going to be revealed to you, you know, even though there's a good chance of that. But it's just an activation to expand the light and to, you know, make a decision on how you can grow from there, you know. And the Taurus story is demanding the growth. It's demanding the growth. Okay, so we all need to grow in some area of our life. In the Sagittarius part of your life, in the Taurus part of your life, and yeah, in the Gemini part of your life, because that's really going to be super activated in our face. And, you know, it's just going to be there. So we're going to have to learn how to work with that air. Now, what's cool about this full moon is that Venus and Jupiter will be conjunct literally at the last degrees of Taurus, which even furthers my active and accurate forecast on how important Jupiter really is in all of this, because they're both at the anaretic degree, and the anaretic degree is a term for the 29th degree of any zodiac sign, which is always, in my experience, an extremely potent version of the planet. So Venus is at a very, very potent, you know, acceleration point as it accelerates into the next sign, and Jupiter the same. So we're having this full moon exactly on a Venus-Jupiter conjunction, just as they both literally are about to ingress into Gemini. So this is a beautiful moment. So I do think a lot of great things will happen on this day. Like, I think, you know, you have two benefics, Venus and Jupiter conjoining during this full moon activation. I mean, the portal is open, guys, you know, and I don't use that word lightly. The portal is open for just so much optimism and hope and energy and fire to really just illumine us on the deepest psychological and psycho-spiritual levels. And this is where using some shamanic astrological magic here is so important, you know. And I always talk about this, you know, co-create and meditate with these transits, and how can you manifest and use them in your highest good, you know, in your highest version of a vision that you have. So it's really important to, you know, create visions of what these, you know, transits can end up being for you. You know, just like I kept telling you with the Taurus new moon, envision what you want to plant and activate now. Because by the time the full moon comes around, you know, you really want to see, where is that at now? Like, where is it? So we have both benefics at a very, very rare point in time, where Jupiter won't be back in Taurus for 12 years. This will be the last time that Jupiter and Venus will be conjoined at the anaretic degree of Taurus before a massive ingress into Gemini, where, yeah, Venus will be activated with Jupiter in Gemini. Yeah, of course. And, but this point to happen during a Sagittarius full moon exactly is, it's something to really, really, keep very front and center in your mind, and how, there could be a lot of beauty that comes of this transit. So meditate on the benefics, meditate on this full moon, work with it, see what's going on in your life, and what do you want to manifest in your life? What can you add more to your Taurus story as this Taurus story is about to end, when it comes to Venus's time in Taurus, which, Venus is home in Taurus. It's exalted there. So it went through this whole time. It supported us through some of that denser stuff in, throughout the last couple of months. When Venus entered Taurus, it kind of, I think, brought us a nice dose of Venusian medicine that we really needed. It made that new moon so gorgeous, and it really allowed a beautiful activation point for us to plant some seeds or to make conscious decisions in our life to start, grounding ourselves and, moving in a certain direction or thinking a certain new way. And now, as that story concludes with Jupiter and Venus conjoined at this full moon, we couldn't ask for a better full moon, to be honest. I was saying we couldn't ask for a better new moon. I really feel like we couldn't ask for a better full moon to jumpstart all the stuff going on in Gemini very soon, to jumpstart the beginning of the summer, and just any expansion and, learning and optimistic, ventures forward. We couldn't ask for a better setup right now. So, yeah, guys, is there anything else I want to say? Because, again, I'm going to do an all signs, video in a couple of days from now. But, there's a lot of aspects still happening right now. Pluto will be trining the sun and trining this full moon, so to speak, and sextiling the moon, so Pluto will sextile the moon and be trining the sun during this full moon. So that's also something to keep in mind, which means I feel this could be a very, there could be a lot of shamanic transformation that happens in a very good way. Pluto will really be assisting in some kind of shift, and that shift is only going to be very unique to your story and what's going on in your life. I can't really predict that for you. But Pluto transforms. Pluto psychologically makes things clearer or psychologically breaks things down. But because we're dealing with Venus and Jupiter conjoined at the anaretic degree, during this full moon, the benefics are activating this in a more positive way, which is why I feel from the new moon cycle to this full moon cycle, we're dealing with good vibes. We're dealing with good omens. We're dealing with good synchronicity and good intentional synchronicity, with good, just the portal of goodness is open. How many times do I have to say it? We went through so much stuff in March and April, and now after that new moon experience, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, I don't know if that tore some things down in your life or if that activated some beautiful revelations. But I do think we all sort of came into a more stronger sense of who we are, who we want to be. Because that eclipse story in Aries and all that Arian energy with the Mercury retrograde there, we were dealing with extremely powerful themes of identity. So I think that really is playing a major role in a lot of our lives, for sure. And this full moon in a fire sign, which is really the first full moon in a fire sign in quite some time, with Pluto's influence now, the trine and the sextile, I think we're dealing with a very beautiful moment where you can see some extreme transformation if you allow it, if you intentionally ask for it. Or if you've been working on something and maybe you haven't seen the results yet, or you're moving in a direction, but you maybe haven't felt the wink wink from the universe, meditate with Pluto and ask Pluto, hey, transform something here for me. really ignite this fire so I can start seeing the fire glow. Because right now I see the sparks, but I don't see the fire. So I hope that makes sense, guys. All right, so that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching once again. Wishing you all well, sending you so much love, and I will see you in the next video.